Hello and welcome everyone to another NLB's PixelStudio Academy webinar training session. Today we are going to share with you the essential things on audio and how to get good audio for your video conferencing as well as recording it for your videos. Today we have Roger Shia. Roger is a project manager from TSG and a member of PixelStudio. Roger runs innovation projects as well as conducting R&D on new innovations and initiatives for NLB. He works on gamification projects and anything related to media technology. With us today, we also have other PixelStudio members, Hafiz, Rayan, and our beloved trainees. We have 4 SG United trainees, Hannah, Claudia, Shafiq and Joel, who are also media artists themselves. So they bring in some new skills into PixelStudio like animation, graphic design, and so on and so forth. Okay, so without further ado, let me start the webinar session and I hand over the session to Roger, who will spend around 30 to 40 minutes sharing with you some useful information about getting good audio for your recording and video conferencing. Take it away, Roger.
Thank you, Indra. As mentioned, today's sharing would be on Soundscape. A few discussion points for today. I'll first start the discussion by introducing you guys to the different microphones, their polar patterns, which you'll know in a minute, and hopefully talk a little bit about podcasting essentials. If you guys have teams who are interested on starting your own podcast, this might be interesting to you. And finally, I will end off the session with some examples of how we can do simple audio editing and what are other softwares that are crucial to this audio production. Okay, so let's get into it. Basically, why we are doing this is because we want to educate you guys the importance of having quality audio. And if you just bear with me for a while, this starting part is quite crucial as you guys will learn to know why is it so important to have good quality audio. Basically, audio quality is dependent on 3 factors: the recording equipment that you use, the distance between your speakers and said equipment, what kind of background noise are present in the environment that you're recording. So knowing that these 3 factors are crucial to your audio production is very important, because then you can make changes and improvements. Because at the end of the day, we want to include everybody in the productions that we do. For example, we want to include the PWDs, the people with disabilities. Even if they cannot hear us properly, they can read the captions that has been transcribed. And some of the speech-to-text technology today, the accuracy is still dependent on certain parameters like how well your quality is in the video itself, how much of a background noise is in your production. A key factor of improving all these factors is keeping a good distance between you, your speaker, and the microphone. As you can see here, I have a shotgun microphone, which I will introduce later. A good guideline is that your microphone and yourself should have at least 1 palm length. This is like the minimum requirement. If you have noisy fans in the background, turn it off, or maybe move your microphone to a location where it's away from the background noise. Know your microphones. What are microphones actually? Microphones has gone beyond the time where we just pick up in the karaoke suite and we just sing and just speak. There's so many different types of microphones nowadays, all right? To know about the microphones and what they can help us, or what they can do to help us in our audio production, we have to learn 3 main technical points. This is important when you're choosing a microphone or choosing any type of audio recording device. What is the type of transducer? What is the directionality or polar pattern, as I've mentioned, and the frequency response itself. When you buy a microphone or a piece of recording equipment, there are always instruction manuals and labels on saying what are the frequency range. It is always in the range, for example, 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. As you well may know, human hearings is up to a certain frequency. So the better the microphones or recording equipment is at picking up these frequencies, the more sounds that your ears can actually hear. Alright, so moving on forward to transducer, like I've mentioned before. What is a transducer? It's basically any device that converts acoustic energy, like for example sounds, into electrical energy. So to make recording function work, microphones are actually transducers. They turn this acoustic energy into electrical engineering. So broadly speaking, there are 2 types of microphones. One is the dynamic microphone and one is the condenser microphone. Some other types of microphones that you guys might have heard in your day-to-day usage would be like shotgun microphones like this one, bass mic, boundary mics, and USB mics. USB mic have actually grown in popularity in today's context. You see a lot of streamers and everyday consumers buying Blue Yeti's mic. So Blue Yeti is actually a brand, and it's a very convenient mic because it's powered by USB. You can just plug into your USB device and just use. So going forward in detail about what are the differences between dynamic microphones and condenser microphones. Dynamic microphones are very rugged and versatile. They can handle high sound pressures, and they're often used in musical stage where the sound is aimed directly in front of the microphone. This is akin to the traditional microphones that we use, something like this. So just pick it up at a concert and just sing and direct your voice directly into the front of the microphone. These are dynamic microphones. What are condenser microphones then, on the other hand? They are in fact more sensitive, and I'll show you guys later in a moment how sensitive they are. But often than not, their drawback is that they require power. Some condenser microphone like this one has to be powered by something called phantom power, which is an external power source that is supplied through the microphone cable from a mixer itself. If you guys are interested to know what is a mixer, I can show you some example. I have here Indra and I both have some setup on how you can power up your condenser microphones. So if you feel a bit lost at this point, don't worry, there's a very visual demonstration coming up. Earlier on, I mentioned a little bit about directionality. What are polar patterns? I think you guys mostly heard about this term polar pattern. Polar pattern simply is the sensitivity relative to the direction of anger or the sound arriving at your microphone. So this is actually plotted on a graph. I'll show you guys more examples of how the graph looks like in a moment, but essentially it's all about speaking into the microphone at the right angle. Earlier on, we talked about the traditional microphone that you have, and how we map this polar pattern is basically from the front of the microphone. Say for example, if I'm using this traditional microphone, the polar pattern will be this way onwards to the front, right? For the shotgun as well, from here onwards. If you can see right now on your screen, I have a few diagrams. These are quite simply drawn to show the front. The circle is actually the polar pattern that is circled from the front of the microphone. So you have your omnidirection, bidirectional, cardioid, supercardioid, and hypercardioid. It's actually measured in decibels. On the right side of the screen, you can see degrees 0 to 360. So it's like a full circle, obviously, and it's measured in decibels. So 0 decibel going to 90 decibel, going to 180, going to 270. So on the right is 90 decibel and the left is 270. So 180 will obviously mean the back. So as you can see, why do we need to know the polar patterns, or how do we read the polar patterns to better use our equipment? Say for example, if I handed a mic one day and you're actually making sounds at the wrong place, your audio is not going to come out at the most optimal angle. So cardioid microphones, they are the most commonly used polar patterns. Most microphones would have cardioid that you go out and buy. They are good because they blend out a bad sounding room, noisy fan in the background, etc, etc. As you can see, for the cardioid mic, most of the polar pattern is centered around the front left, and front right, meaning they will actually reject most of the sounds coming from the back of the microphone. So if, for example, this is a cardioid microphone, it will not make sense for me to speak this way. I'm just going to tilt it to the side for you to see. Ideally, I want to speak to the front of it, or to the slightly left or slightly right. Then we have the supercardioid, which offers even more focus in on the left and right. As you can see, the circle here is starting to go inner a little bit towards the angle 60 and 60 degrees on left and right respectively. So the more you go out of this range, the further you will sound. I can demonstrate this example from this microphone right now, this shotgun microphone. Say you're hearing me very clearly, but if I were to tilt myself out of the range, you're starting to hear that, hey, why am I not sounding as clear as I could have been if I just fall back into the natural polar pattern where my sound is the most sensitive. So in addition to that, we have some more interesting patterns. We have omnidirection microphones, and we also have figure 8 microphones. Figure 8 now is very interesting. As you can see from the screen itself, there are two huge bubbles, one at the front and one of the back. So why is it useful? Because you need to deal with sounds coming from either ends of the microphone. So say for example, I have a condenser microphone here, and for some reason you will want to have sounds that are coming from the speaker on this side, and you want to have some background sound from this side. So it's a perfectly blended composition of both front and back, hence forming the figure 8. Early on, you guys heard how I sound if I'm speaking directly to the shotgun microphone. I sound so far away if I'm not speaking to the optimal polar pattern range. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how a condenser microphone sounds like. I'm just going to briefly turn off this microphone and pick up this cardioid microphone. Instantly, you can hear the difference between the shotgun microphone and something that has a better cardioid polar pattern. So for this condenser microphone, it's powered by phantom power, like I mentioned. So it actually runs on some kind of a mixer, and I do have a mixer right here. If you want, later Indra and I can both show you our setups. But yeah, different microphones will have different use. So for example, if you want to go up close and personal and you want to use something like this, it would actually come with a shock mount, as you can see here. It actually absorbs most of the shock that's coming from like the ground up or moving of the table. And how would you use such microphone is you put it on an arm mount and then have it just dangle here, and then you just speak as usual. Okay, so that was it for the different types of microphones. I want to just touch a little bit on podcasting, if I will. So the same thing applies. What makes a podcast successful? The microphones that we mentioned earlier, the headphones that you use to monitor. Studio monitoring headphones are great if you want to listen to the warm temperature, the volume of your voice, because they are especially sensitive at picking up all these sounds. Of course, you want to have a good speaker or guest speakers that present really, really well once you show them how to present into your microphone. And then comes the format and your content of your podcast. I will not go into entirely how to make a successful podcast because I'm sure you guys know where to find the right resources. But what I am going to talk about is how these three factors, having a show plan, having a good sound quality, and lastly, knowing the softwares to quickly edit your podcast on the fly would really upscale and bring your podcast to the next level. So for show plan, it's about having a good format to your podcast. Is it a single guest speaker podcast or you want to have multiple speakers? And if so, I would recommend that you have one microphone per speaker. It's a good general rule of thumb to have one microphone per speaker. Never share a microphone if you can help it. All right, that's just a general rule for audio production. Ensure that you're always recording somewhere that is sound friendly. When I say sound friendly, it's basically what I meant is it's treated for acoustic, as in there's no noisy background, there's no bleeding in of fan or air conditioned noise. We have a few places which are treated for sound, and we can share them with you in a short while. And last but not least, the softwares that you use for podcasting. You can use great free software like Audacity, which I'll go through in a moment, or you can use sophisticated software that requires a more subscription-based fee, and such examples include Adobe Audition. We have different podcast setup at PixelStudio, and please get in touch with us if you want to know more about them. Basically, they are broken down into 3 different tiers. We have the lowest end tiers where, okay, fine, we just use Apple iPhones and they are built-in microphones. And they are really good microphones. They are inside the phones itself. They come with a lot of bass, but it's in general quite a good piece of device, and you can do them in small areas in the meeting rooms at NL or PLs. And earlier I mentioned you can start using free editing software like Audacity and Zencaster. I believe Mrs. Kian just mentioned a very good software that someone else that the oral history guys have been using. It's called Their Story, I believe, right? So in the case of Audacity, it's free, and in the case of Zencast, it's they're having a very amazing price plan right now. They allow you to try it for free for a couple of months before you actually have to pay for it, but nevertheless, it's a good starting point if you're just getting into doing voice recording at a higher quality. And if you go up to the mid-tier level, we have sophisticated microphones like the AKG C414 condenser microphone. Not much different, but slightly higher quality than what I have here. This is already good enough to get started, but then we have more better equipment if you want to use it. And if you are looking for a platform to host all your podcasts and other audio productions that you might have, we have our own NLB video learning portal, which is Panopto, powered by Panopto. And then when you go to the highest tier, of course, you would want to have a more hybrid style of podcast. It's not just audio only, you have a video as well. So podcasts have evolved to the extent that you can actually see your speakers, very much like the DJs you see in town where they host their programs, but at the same time you can catch the DJs live. So speaking of post-processing, your best assets are some of the sounds and some of the videos you can use as feelers in your project. Some websites that I would really like to share with you guys today is Artlist, Audio Jungle, Free Music Archive. All these websites, some are paid for license, some offer royalty free. It's really up to you to see which kind of assets best fit your productions. For video wise, I do use Pond5, although it's a paid for license website, but it's worth looking at if you have a little bit of budget. They have a lot of stock footages, high resolution stock footages that you can use for your production. So now I would like to move on to Audacity, basically what we call a digital audio workstation. It's just a posh way of saying audio editing program lah. So the most popular DAW is called Audacity. It's popular because it's absolutely free and it's more than good enough to get started. If you're looking for a more pro level DAW, if I mentioned there's Audition, there's Reaper, REAPER, if it's more up to your speed. So why do we need to know about post-processing? Because as we work with audio files, we know that .mp3 and .mp5 are the most commonly supported format. In fact, on Spotify, right, say for example, if you want to put your podcast on Spotify, they have specific formats and qualities of audio files that has been uploaded. If you read on their terms and condition website for Spotify, only ISO stands for the certification, MPEG-1 Part 3 MP3 audio file with bit rates between 96 and 320 kbps are supported. By selecting the right files, by working with the right file type and frequency level, you are sure that your podcast production would always land on a more popular platform that everybody is using. For example, YouTube, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. These are some of the things that you have to take note. And how we make sure these files are saved in the right format, because how we make sure that all these files are saved in the right format, we make sure of that by using our DAW, like I mentioned, our digital audio workstation. So let's learn by watching. I'm going to bring up the Audacity software in a moment, and you guys can see how I can quickly work with a sound file. Once you load up Audacity, this is how it will look like. Basically, you start a project, and much like any other editing software like Photoshop or Illustrator, this is a destructive piece of software. That means ultimately, once you import your audio files in, they're going to change the format and change the frequency level so that it's compatible for different platforms that you're trying to upload this to. So right now I have a test project that I've uploaded. So I've included my audio clips right here, as you can see, in track 1 and track 2. So what Audacity offers is multi-track recording. Say for example, you want to have different speaker or different types of sounds. For example, the first speaker and the background music on different track, you are able to do so on Audacity. Right away, some other information that you can notice from this audio piece of recording is that it's recorded monally. It's on 44100 Hz, which is the most popular format for audio recording. And if you want to hear them individually, this is what you will do. You select a sound clip and then you just play. Right, as you can see, as you can hear from the recording, I was speaking a simple line of dialogue and there was some background music. If you want to isolate the background music, you just mute the other track, then you just play it. Can you guys hear the guitar riff?
Yes, Roger, can. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have the track 1 muted. Actually, the track 1 was just a simple line of dialogue, so I will just unmute it like so, and then you can hear both tracks. She sells seashells by the seashore. Yeah, so that was just an example of how you can do multiple track recording. See, now let's do something more sophisticated. Let's remove the background noise from a simple recording file. Once again, I will play it and you guys let me know if you can hear the piece of audio.
Well, we have one farm in Ojai where we've been since 1998.
Can you guys hear that? I'm not sure if you can hear from that sound clip. There was a guy who was addressing, probably in an interview, to the interviewer, but there was some chirping noise and background noise in the background that hopefully we want to remove today. So we can first look at the sound wave. We just magnify a little bit on the sound wave so we can really zoom in on what is causing this background noise. So we see this part obviously is the waves for the speaker, and this part we are not sure what it is, so let's play and just have a listen, alright? You guys hear that? It's like a straight buzzing sound. Okay, so with this part, what we want to do is we create a noise profile for these background sounds and hopefully eliminate that from the original audio recording. So Audacity actually allows us to do that in a very quick and simple manner. Once we have the background noise selected, like what I just did, I go to Effect, I go to Noise Reduction, and you can see step 1. Select a few seconds of the noise so Audacity knows what to do to filter this noise out. So we select it and we just get noise profile, like so. So right now we have the noise profile, which is basically this front part. What we are going to do next is to apply this removal of background noise from the entire track. So let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see the entire track. Okay, so this is the entire interview. We don't have to listen to the whole thing. But what we want to do is Control A to select the entire track. As you can see now, it's entirely selected. Alright, go back to Effect. Once again, Noise Reduction, and let's listen to the clip after applying this noise reduction.
Well, we have one farm in Ojai where we've been since 1990.
So this preview actually allows us to have a little snippet of what to expect once the noise reduction has been applied. And if we are not satisfied with the amount or the level that has been affected on this process, this noise elimination process, we can of course increase the meter upwards to the right. Let's say for example, I want it to reduce at 20 decibel, and then we just preview.
Well, we have one farm in Ojai where we've been since 1990.
Okay, so what has happened is that basically the lower frequency sounds have been crushed a little bit, so it actually appears a little bit down now. The speaker is not as clear, it's not as crisp. So you might have to take care not to go too much on the level. And for the sensitivities as well, earlier I mentioned how sensitive mics are at picking up sounds. But what I really want to go into is the frequency smoothing. So in the case where you have multiple people speaking, you have multi-track recording, you would want to reduce the frequency, right? But in our case, we're actually recording one single person. So what we want to do is we want to move the level to the right a little bit for the smoothing band to more effectively eliminate the noise. And here's one cool trick that Audacity allows you to do is instead of clicking on how much the background noise is being removed, we click on residue. This allows us to listen what exactly is being eliminated from the sound clip. So let's have a listen. Okay, you can straight away hear there are some muffled sounds from the speaker. So meaning that if we proceed with this reduction, we're actually removing some of the volumes from the speaker. So that means we have gone a bit too far. I'll just bring it back down to 14 like before, and then I have listened. Okay, once we are satisfied with the level of reduction, we just put everything back to where it originally was. I click on OK. And now you can see that the waveform has significantly lowered because I've reduced most of the background noise. And let's have a listen at that, the final clip. Oh, oops. Okay, so this is a good example of what I will call Gabra. What I did just now was because I had residue selected, right? I'm actually removing the original audio. But lucky for Audacity, you have Control Z, which is the undo function. So what we do is we go to Edit, we go to undo this noise reduction. Alright, so we again go back to Effect, go to Noise Reduction. Make sure this time that you have the Reduce checkbox tick. Alright, once you're happy with it, click OK, and the waveform has significantly reduced, but you can still discern that this is an audio level human speaking waveform. So let's have a good listen at the reduction.
Well, we have one farm in Ojai where we've been since 1998, and that is really an urban farm.
So I would say that this is a decent reduction, and once I'm happy with it, I'll go to File and export to the previously mentioned format that I've stated. You can go for MP3, you can go for WAV or OGG, all these kind of open formats and closed formats for your video productions. Once you're done, just close the program, and that's it. That's all I have to show for how to post-process your audio levels. Let's now open the floors to Q&A, shall we?
How different are the actual Audacity and Adobe programs, platforms? Audacity is a free software. It gets the basic done. You download, you install either in your Mac or your Windows, you open it up, load your files, then you can clean up your audio, cut the audio. Sometimes when we give presentation, there's a lot of then a lot of pauses. You do not want that, right? If you want to cut all these things, you can do that. Basically, the simple things for editing and cleaning up audio, you can do it in Audacity, and it's free. Yeah, Adobe platforms, you need to subscribe. Okay, you need to subscribe. It's more powerful. If you're using it for like layers and layers and layers of audio, like you're doing music recording, bands or a cappella singing and stuff, you need all those layers. You need slightly more control over some of the effects, some of the editing functions. Then you use like slightly bigger programs lah. There's a lot out there lah. So if you're not going for that level, Audacity is the way to go. It's simple and gets the job. It's getting more powerful and powerful and powerful nowadays lah. Ideally, we try to get the best source, best recorded source lah. So that involves trying out positioning the mic and stuff like that. If you get best source, so technically you don't have to clean up the audio so much, because cleaning audio takes some time. Okay, and you need some software to do it, because sometimes when you remove certain frequencies, it will alter the tone of the voice, which we do not want. So best is to have the proper technique of recording the audio at the start, and as well as try to minimize all this unnecessary editing. Okay, we have two questions from Kalista. Is the aim to pad the walls for a clean sound? Oh, my understanding is that you don't want the sound to bounce off, because sound travels, like in straight lines, and when there's like glass or like walls and stuff, it can bounce. So that creates reverberation, a reverb lah, or maybe like or layman's term, like echo and stuff like that lah. If you want to do recording, you need to treat your room. Okay, the term is treat your room. Basically with like padded, break the flat surface, make it corrugated. Some people use the egg trays, the cheaper version. Like if you go to some of you like go for jamming, right? Sometimes you see this cheap way, it works lah. But sometimes you use professional ones. They use either sponge, like corrugated sponge, angular, and some soft material like thick curtains, like what I'm using here. I'm using curtains and stuff. So the next question, if you're outdoors, what mic would you recommend, and how will you minimize traffic noise? If you can, don't record outside. Whenever I do production for NLB, you notice most of the time I do indoor, because I can control the audio. But if you really need to do it outside, use a cardioid mic. Okay, cardioid mic is most sensitive to sound at the front and at the sides, but it blocks out sounds coming from the rear and stuff like that. You can hear, right? The difference, right? This can take care of some of the ambient bars that may come from an outdoor environment. So a cardioid mic can also cut down on wind noise. Some shotgun mics is ideal for capturing like voice recording in noisy environment, like what Roger is using. Roger, you can remove that sponge now. See, Roger is also using the sponge to minimize. See, that's a shotgun mic. Usually they are very fine. You point the front to the speaker, so you can direct the mic to pick up which one. It's good for this cardioid mic. It can be selective lah. So you point directly at the speaker's mouth from far, then it will only record the most dominant signal for the audio. Yeah. So to remove the wind and stuff like that, usually you need to use either like what Roger is using, the filter and the sponge and stuff like that. That will help a lot.
Some microphones, they will have this option to have this pad. So as you can, I'm not sure if it's focusing, but there's this pad of -20. So if I select it here, obviously it will be able to filter out most of the background noise. But conversely, I will start to sound like I'm very far away. this would actually eliminate most of the background noise, like your fan or your noisy aircon. So if you don't need this pad, you just remove it, and now I'm back to normal sounding. But of course, the noise elimination can happen post-process and during recording. Best part is you do it when you're recording, right?
Yeah, correct. Those pads actually, they minus certain frequencies. Sometimes when you go outside, right, there's a lot of traffic noise, very low noise. So when you minus off that low frequency by engaging the pad, technically you cut off all the low frequency. Like the humming, you cut off the humming. So your recording minus the low frequency, which is the humming. So you need to know all these. So for like car horn, usually is very high. So those are the mids and the high. So leave it, you cannot do anything. So it's best when you go outside, you need to do multiple takes. Yeah, and it's good also for us when we want to go recording, we go recce at the particular time that we are going to record. Like for example, like next Friday, we're going to record a session maybe at Kampong Glam. We go to Kampong Glam today, Friday at the specific timing. Then we'll notice, got any traffic around or got a lot of people. Then we check with them, do you have any program and stuff like that? To that level, right? Then if you can also arrange for the place to be cordoned off and stuff like that, then you need to do submit your release papers and stuff like that. So usually that's why when we do production, we do in-house, and which we can control the audio better.
Yeah, hey Roger, thanks for the demo, and I'm really envious to see you guys have your personal studio space. At Program, we do recording of the Zoom events. I'm just wondering, you share with us about condenser and dynamic mics. What about those mic you have like on your phone or on the computer? What are these, and can you do the same kind of sound editing with these kind of mics?
Correct. You can do that. Of course, the frequency range will not be that far, but for like video conferencing, it's decent enough. But the thing is, sometimes people use it wrongly. For example, you use the earpiece with the mic, right? They take the mic and move it closer to the mouth, and it will get distorted. Sometimes when they laugh or whatever, it gets distorted. The reason the distance the mic is around there, there's reason for it to be there lah. So just leave your mic down there, leave it there, and don't touch it, and prevent it from touching your clothes to have that rustling noise lah. So technically it's decent. I've heard some of these are very decent mic. So you can use that lah. So you don't have to buy expensive mics and stuff like that. You will definitely make your production better, sound better. But if you just have that, you can use it there. You can use those equipments. So it's fine. But sometimes for the trained ear, certain frequency will be cut off lah, because due to the drivers, due to the magnet they use inside, you cannot capture all the full frequency, which gives you a nicer sound. But for the untrained ear, as long as you can hear, it's fine. As long as you don't put it too near, it's get clipping and very distorted. That one we cannot. We don't.
Say we use this kind of microphones, and then we, sometimes when the presenter talk, there's suddenly a dog barking behind. So is it possible to do the elimination even using this kind of microphone? Is it on Audacity?
Yes, you can. You can remove it, but if the dog is barking together with the person talking, then it's very difficult.
It's like I see. Okay.
If it's like he stopped, then the dog bark, then he let the dog bark first, then he continue, then you can remove that portion lah. But if the dog barks together with him talking, technically you can do. I've done it before. I tell you, it's not easy. So it's best when we do recordings like this, if you have noise like that, you need to be trained to let the noise finish or let it go first, then you continue. This will affect your editing. It will be easier for the editor. So when the person stops talking like this, okay, let the dog bark, finish already. Okay, then you start talking. So you can isolate the good takes and put them together for the final edit. Next question by Anna. What if the background noise cannot be separated from the main speech audio because it continues on throughout the clip without gaps? So if your source is not good, right, your final edit will be affected. So it's best to have you need to retake. Yeah. So that's why when you do filming, right, in Hollywood, they can go up to like 20 takes. So the job of the actor is not easy. You have to do one by one. You have to do like 20 takes. Imagine a kissing scene. A fella have to kiss a fella like for 20, the girl 20 times. The fella don't like it. So you have to retake. Yeah. when somebody is shouting, you need to have people on the ground. We have people on the ground itself to ensure that the kids don't make noise. To that level. Like if they make noise, you go down, you have to do that. Because it's a live event. You cannot ask them to do second takes. You cannot ask the president to do second take and third takes, right? So you need to have that. You need to have the manpower. Everybody needs to be briefed how to prevent all these unnecessary issues. Angela, can Audacity change our voices? Like if you want to change our voices to a recording from other genre, those are the... I haven't tried, but they should have some filters. Roger, are there some?
There's a bunch of effects filters for
like
Audacity.
You want to make yourself like a robot. All audio editing software will have this. Even the video editing software like Final Cut Pro, like Adobe Premiere, they will have. They will have. Yeah, you can even slow down. Or you can even like increase the speed of your voice and stuff like that. But sometimes when you increase the speed, your voice will change to this like chipmunk kind of audio. But there's also a tool for recording artists to reduce the speed and yet maintain your tone and your key. There's a software for that as well. I use that as well. Sometimes when I play the guitar, you can see behind me. If I cannot find the scores, I will use my ear to listen. But sometimes the guitar solo is too fast, especially for like rock music. So I use this tool to reduce the speed, to take note of the individual notes that they are playing. So I use my ear and decipher that along. Yeah, there are tools like that. Panfong, thanks for sharing, Roger. I have a few questions. If I have a video file and wish to remove background noise, can I use Audacity? Yes. Also, is there a recommended range of bit rates to ensure good sound quality, and how should we ensure the sound is within this range? If any, so that the sound is not muffled. If I want to engage a volunteer, how can we advise them to record on their own while ensuring good sound quality besides telling them to minimize background noise? Oh, this is good. Okay. Bit rates, the higher the bit rate, the better, but your file will get bigger. So you need to weigh. Okay. For example, MP3 files versus WAV files. MP3 is condensed, it's compressed. WAV is not compressed. MP3 will be 1 megabyte. WAV file is 20 megabytes. Right? But sometimes to the untrained ear, you cannot hear anything. But if you want to do archival, there are certain standards. I think some of the NAS folks will know. Even for us, when we do videos, we want to send videos for archival, or they will tell me, I want a 444, then with this video, then we follow. Because those are the high quality standards. So the higher bit rate you can go. A 96, kilohertz. You can go, 48 or whatever. But do you really need that high? That the quality is. Are you bringing it for editing or post editing for some other applications? If not, the normal when you do recording, the equipment that we issue to you, that should be sufficient. Just follow the standard. You can adjust, but when you record an audio file in higher resolution, you can bring it down. But those you record in lower resolution, you cannot bring it up. Even though you bring it up, the file will increase, but the quality will not be there. So if I want to engage a volunteer, another question, how can we advise them to record on their own? Okay, depends on what they do.
I don't know how to better advise them, so I only tell them to try and minimize background noise. Usually it's okay, but I have a few that came in and then I don't know why it looks blurry and the sound is muffled. So I don't know how to better advise them. I didn't really check what they are using, but I thought using just normal phones or cameras should be fine. So I didn't really specify any equipment.
I see. Sometimes people don't realize that their lens on their phone is like smudged. Then they go and take, sometimes they take, the front one. Right? Sometimes when they press here, tap here, their fingerprints are all on the lens. They never clean, then they do the recording, which affects the video quality. For audio, sometimes they are too far, right? Because for phones, usually they are like dynamic in nature. It's not a condenser. So you need to be as close as possible. But when you're too close, you talk so loud, then it will be distorted. So best is not too far away, somewhere maybe like this, then you record, do a sample take. Then play your video, use headphones to hear the audio. If that's the way, if it's good, then you roughly know whether whether should you speak louder or lower and stuff like that. You cannot just put it as record then agak-agak, is this good? No, you need to do few takes. Then ask them to do a few takes lah. To make it easy, just tell them don't put your phones too far away. Okay, when I want this kind of shot, I want a mid shot, something like this. Just from your chest to your head level. Okay, can be your headroom, something like that. Then should be fast. So roughly they will know. For mid shot, the phone's usually around there lah, maybe like 1 arm's length, which is decent. Then when you tell them when you want to do your recording, project your voice to the phone, okay, and bring it. Do your recording in a quiet place, in your bedroom and stuff like that. Don't do it outside because there's a lot of background noise. But what we have shared with you is just the things that you need to know to sound good in your recording, videography, and also for video conferencing. So this is very beneficial skill to have. So thanks for attending. If you have any questions after these sessions, just let us know. So before we end, we have some questions through this quiz. So I will share my screen and I will need you guys to whip up your phones and participate in this quiz. It's a fun quiz lah, okay? 3, 2, 1, let's go with the quiz. Clipping in audio leads to the distortion and a lowering of audio quality. True or false? Roger, this one, fastest finger got more points or not?
Yes, so be quick.
Okay. Okay, it's true lah. Okay, two of you kena check ya.
June, first place, Mel.
Yes, June. Congrats.
Wow, the angel. Is that angel?
And Melissa. And I think Jay is Jaslyn.
Okay, this okay.
Jaslyn.
Not bad. Oh, you got 3 of them, same points. They click at the same time, submit at the same time.
Where's Angela? Come on, Angela.
Question 2 of 5. 2 broad types of microphones we use today in media productions are dynamic and condenser microphones. Broad types microphones. Is it true or false? These are the common ones. Is it true or false? Wow, very fast.
Wow.
Loading result. June still top. Let's see whether anybody can take over. No? June still on top. Well done.
June and Melissa, yes.
Let's go next. Question 3. A convenient power source for condenser microphone is usually referred to as what power? Just now we mentioned. Okay, we give you MCQ. Is it ghost power, electrical power, spirit power, or phantom power? If you use condenser mic, we need a special power, right? What is that power called? Everyone has an answer. Phantom power. Correct. Yes. Ghost is a friend of phantom, but no, it's not correct. Okay. Leaderboard. Oh. Hi.
Which
Hi is now leading.
This one is Wei, I think.
Is it? Oh, come on, June. Come on, take back your spot. Question 4. Question rewards more points for fast answer. And the question is, which of the following is not an example of a microphone's polar pattern? Okay, also MCQ, bidirectional pattern, cardioid pattern, omnidirectional, or megacardioid. Choose your answer. Roger mentioned 3 of these now. Megacardioid, yeah. Is megacardioid condenser? I don't think so. Yeah, omnidirectional is like you have a mic, then you can go around it, then everybody will be, all the voice can capture. Cardioid, bidirectional is 2-way. Cardioid is 1-way, like what I'm using right now, okay? Leaderboard, hi, still the top with 756 points. Come on,
it's a bit of a trick question. There's no mega, it's only super and hyper.
Super, right, yeah. Okay, the last question. Is the last one? We have 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which of the following is not an example of DAW or audio editing program? Digital workstation. Just now we mentioned.
Yep. That's right.
Clue lah. Roger even used the software to show you how to clean up audio. Audacity, Adobe Audition, Adobe Illustrator, Reaper. Adobe Illustrator,
Wow.
yes. Wow, correct. Illustrator is actually a design application lah. Okay, to do graphic and stuff like that. The rest are all audio application. So leaderboard. Let's see the winner for this quiz.
Wow.
Is her with 944 points. Yay! Not bad. Good. Bragging rights. So I hope you guys have learned a few tips and tricks from Roger on how to manage audio for your video recording and conferencing. So I'd like to thank all of you for your attending today's session, and thank you PixelStudio Roger for running this training, and the rest of PixelStudio's members for helping out running to this online session. You can also subscribe to our channel to get latest training videos and latest happenings in NLB. Is one of our roles is to record key NLB events for NLB. So to end this session, stay home, stay safe, and take care. PixelStudio signing out. Bye bye. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.